Hi there. Welcome to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Madi B, and today I have my special guest from last week. He's back, Attorney John Zaid. Welcome.
Thank you, Madi. Thank you for having me here today.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. You did so good last week that we had to bring you back. I know a lot of the viewers just were asking a lot of questions and getting involved, so I'm like, hey, we need to have you back. And we'll probably have you again back in the future.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so stay tuned. You'll probably see him again in the future, but we're going to have a lot of good, interesting points today. We're going to be announcing what the next heroic behavior is. So make sure, I want to open up those lines of communication for you guys to ask any questions that you guys may have for Attorney John Zaid, any questions pertaining to personal injury. Any type of personal injury, right? So that is motor vehicle accident, motorcycle accident, slip and fall, dog bites, anything that you've been injured personally, you want to ask a question, he's going to be here to answer those questions. So Attorney John Zaid, you have a law firm, John K Zaid Associates.
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about yourself and even your firm as well.
Okay. Once again, thank you for having me here again, Madi.
Thank you.
My name is John Zaid. I have my law firm out in the Clear Lake area, John K Zaid Associates, as Madi has mentioned. We've established the firm 16 years ago. We specialize in personal injury. Our primary focus are car accident cases. A lot of what we do are the car accident cases, but we handle all types of personal injury claims. We have attorneys and staff working for us. It's something that we take seriously. We enjoy what we do. We had great response last week. We had a lot of people calling. After the show, we had a lot of inquiries. So we look forward to today and look forward to helping anybody that needs our help.
Yes, we're here to help. So we're here to educate and help as well. So if there's any questions that you just are kind of like, what do I do? The attorneys have carved out some time today. Attorney John Zaid, we joint ventured with your law firm, John K Zaid Associates, and D. Miller Associates has joint ventured with the PI litigation cases. So we work very well together. Hard-working attorneys, that's for sure, right? So we are here to help you guys with whatever questions that you may have. So I'm going to make it a little bit fun. So last time we were talking a little bit about Father's Day weekend, right? We gave a prize for the heroic behavior in honor of Father's Day weekend, which is actually this Sunday.
Correct.
Okay, you are a father.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Father of two.
Father of two little ones. So what is your plans for this weekend?
Like I mentioned last week, very family oriented. So this week is like any other weekend, spending some time with my family, spending my time with my father and my mother, my wife, my boys, just family time together, barbecuing, hanging out, going out to eat, whatever it is they decide.
Sounds like fun. Yeah. It's your day, so that's awesome. I know family time is super important. And it's such a great feeling as well. So I want to welcome you guys to let us know, what are you guys doing this weekend, either for your father or if you are a father, what are you doing with your family? Would love to hear a little bit more. I would like to see what you guys are doing. So open up those lines of communication for any comments and or questions. So speaking of heroic behavior, I was just today at the Dynamo Stadium. Have you been able to go to the Dynamo Stadium?
I have.
It is huge. So this is in honor of the World Cup that is like around the corner. Mm-hmm. So if you guys want to win tickets and chance to go to the Dynamo game, make sure you go to our Facebook page and see the picture of me kicking a soccer ball, something soccer. Make sure you go on there so you guys have a chance to win, especially if you guys want to participate for the Father's Day weekend. That would be awesome as well. So yeah, we'll definitely look out for that picture. Orange and black. Make sure you guys check that out. So I already have Allison. Allison's been waiting here. So sorry, Allison. Allison's on here asking a question for you. You ready?
Sounds good.
I think it's time
to
get them rolling. So Allison is asking, I was the passenger of an accident. The person who was driving does not want to hire a lawyer. Am I still able to get help even if the driver does not want to? This is a great question. I'm going to ask it one more time. It's a little bit long. So Allison's saying, I was the passenger of an accident. The person who was driving does not want to hire a lawyer. Am I still able to get help even if the driver does not want to?
Yes. The answer is yes, Allison. If you're involved in an accident, whether you're a driver or passenger, front seat, back seat, doesn't matter. You have a right to hire a lawyer. As a matter of fact, even if the driver decides to hire a lawyer, she can hire her own lawyer. You can hire your own lawyer. Each person has their own separate claim. So the short and long answer is yes. You're involved in an accident. You're injured. Please reach out. Call an attorney. You have that right.
Yes, you're able to get representation. And I know we discussed this a little bit last time, last show, that each individual has the opportunity to have their own claim, correct?
Correct. So like I said, and like Marty just repeated, each one has their own claim. So you have a right. If you're injured, I mean, there's instances where we have people who call us and one person in the vehicle is injured and the other is not. It happens. It's common, as a matter of fact. Each person's different. Each person takes the impact differently. You have situations where the impact on the side of the vehicle where the person was sitting may have been impacted more or differently than the opposite side of the vehicle. So you definitely have that right. If the driver does not want to pursue a claim, that's their prerogative. You definitely have that right. I recommend you call an attorney if you've been through that situation.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll follow up with you, Allison. I know we talk about this every time, but every case is different. Every detail is different. Everyone's body is different. So just like you said, however the impact comes, I could see that. I just literally visualize like a T-bone. Well, that obviously would have exactly. So we're here to help you guys. Allison, if you want to give us a call directly, that phone number 713-850-8600. If not, we'll have definitely Attorney John Zaid follow up with you right after the show so we can get a little bit more information on how we can help you. So thank you, Allison, for that question. I also want to, Beth, all my ladies are in the house already. Okay. In memory of Father's Day weekend, right? They're all here for the fathers. So Beth is saying, I was in an accident and the impact knocked me out. I'm not sure who caused the accident. Can you still help me?
Yes, of course. So unfortunately, that sounds like a really severe accident, Beth. And unfortunately, that does happen sometimes where people are either they're knocked out or by the time they're removed from the vehicle and transported via EMS, they're not able to gather information at the scene. They were not able to speak to the police officer that showed up to the scene. They did not speak to the actual person that caused the accident. We can definitely help. There's ways. We have tools. We have investigators that can go out. Usually an accident report is generated. That accident report would be very helpful in gathering that information and data. But the long end of it is, yes, we can definitely help you out. It sounds like a severe accident. The fact that you're knocked out is not a good sign. Hopefully you were taken care of at the hospital.
Right.
But we can definitely help. You need to call a lawyer for that one.
Yeah, so Beth will definitely follow up. And I know, is that something, Attorney John Zaid, that you've had experience? I know in the last 16 years, this is probably something that you've experienced with to where they just didn't get information. I mean, you just kind of touched a little bit of what your process is to kind of investigate a little bit more. So you've had experience in this type of scenario.
Without a doubt. So oftentimes it happens where people get involved in accidents and they just don't know the process. Some of them do not exchange information at the scene. Sometimes the officers don't share that information. They give you nothing more than an accident report number and tell you to go online and retrieve that. So we've dealt with all kinds of scenarios. We've dealt with hit and run accidents where we have to get the license plate and work backwards and send our investigators out. So we have a lot of tools and mechanisms to help. We always say, call us, give us a chance, give us the opportunity to investigate your claim for you, your accident for you. There's no charge up front. So you really have nothing to lose at that point by calling, hiring a lawyer, allowing them to do that investigation for you to see if they can find who the at-fault party was, find coverage with regards to insurance, so we can help you out.
So even though you might not know a little bit more details, I know this might be, if I were in, this has happened as well, that I just don't know the details behind who hit me. Oh my gosh, what happened? And you kind of just give up. Don't give up.
Yeah.
Then you just said, give us a chance.
Give us a call. It's not going to cost you anything to call, and at least give us a chance, like you said.
Yeah, that's definitely something that you guys watching can feel a little bit more at ease that we can definitely help. Even though you might not have all the information, we do have the tools to get a little bit more information if need be. That's why the attorneys do an investigation. And I mean, this is 16 years, 15 years, cumulative, over 50 years of experience. So you guys are in good hands. Beth, we will definitely reach out to see how we can help and get a little bit more information. And I know with that, I mean, she said she was knocked out on impact. Another thing that I want to ask is, And I know you probably have had experience on the head trauma,
Correct.
concussion,
Correct.
traumatic brain injury. Those are all
Correct.
things that can cause this. And you've had experience with that, right?
We've handled several cases like that, people that have suffered injuries, brain injuries or TBIs, what we call traumatic brain injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing I thought of when you said you were knocked out is you may have suffered from a concussion at the scene. Believe it or not, sometimes even when you go via EMS to the emergency room, there's mixed diagnosis sometimes. They wheel you in, they wheel you out, they do a quick CAT scan of the brain, and sometimes the results come back negative and they send you home. And we've had scenarios just like that in which people have hired us and we've sent them to specialists and given the injury time to kind of materialize. And eventually what we've discovered is that people were suffered from, a traumatic brain injury, and it's not something that's easy to diagnose. You need the right attorney that knows to look for the signs. You need the right doctors, the right neurologists that know how to diagnose and treat those type of situations. Unfortunately, we've had our fair share. I know Darren Miller's office handles a lot of those as well.
Mm-hmm.
We're definitely equipped to do it. And it's something, like I said, when I heard that you were knocked out at the scene, that's the first thing I thought of, is that I hope they did the proper protocol to make sure that you're okay. And what we deal with is when people hire us and they have that issue, we have a protocol in which not only we do it at the get-go, but we have a follow-up protocol, because sometimes a month later, we'll start seeing stuff. The family members will start seeing stuff. There's certain behaviors that they'll show, memory loss, headaches. Even the spouse will say, hey, John's starting to act differently. And those are all could be signs of the traumatic brain injury. Yeah. So it is important, if that happened, that you get with the care, you get the care that you need with the right physicians, and obviously the right attorneys as well to help you out with the personal injury process as well.
So let me ask you this, Attorney John Zaid, with your experience, if the reporting at the beginning was off, mm-hmm. and then you had to follow up and do another one, does that hurt the case, or is that why you follow up with a different report?
Correct. So it definitely does not. That's a good question. It doesn't hurt the case at all. And some people believe, well, why are you doing it again? Well, you only do another report or you do another examination if the symptoms persist. Sometimes when you do a CAT scan within 12 hours or a few hours of the accident, the injury may not have manifested to where you see it. Sometimes I've seen brain injuries where a year later it manifests and it shows up on the CAT scans and the MRIs of the brain. So the key is the treating physician knowing the signs to look for and take the proper protocols and do the follow-up treatment. And if the behavior and the symptoms persist, it's not a good thing. If they go away, then we're good, nothing's there. But if they do persist and you continue with the same issues, then you're in the care of the right neurologist. We work with some of the best neurologists in town that handle these type of cases.
Yeah, and a lot of injuries, and I know you just said it, some of the symptoms are delayed.
Correct. Especially the brain injury.
Exactly. So, Beth, this is a great question, because I know you asked if we can even help, but there's more. It's kind of a loaded question. There's really more opportunity, and we would like to speak to you. And we would like to be able to help you and kind of just see where you stand. That way we can go ahead and get you the help that you're needing. So thank you, Beth, so much for that question. Speaking of, I know we're kind of all involved in the traumatic brain injury, but speaking of, we have a motorcycle ride coming up in 2 months. We were just talking about this a little earlier. All proceeds that we raise from this event goes to traumatic brain injury. It's something that we hold very close to our heart. And we were just actually this weekend at the Rot Rally in Austin, Texas. You've heard about it. It's a huge ride. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was actually there in the mix of all the bikes and all the loud noise.
How many people show up to that ride?
Oh my gosh. On 6th Street alone, the whole 6th Street was filled with bikes. If I had to put a number, I would say more than 25,000.
Oh, wow.
So they have the Expo Center in Austin, which is more on the northern side. And then all of 6th Street is just crazy, but not just crazy at night. It's crazy like from 10 a.m. till 2 a.m. It's crazy. So riders that come from everywhere. And I know we take motorcycle accidents. You do as well.
We do as well.
Yeah. So that's something that we want to definitely welcome you. Even if you guys ride a bike and have any motorcycle questions, we want to welcome those questions. Sure. They do pertain. They're treated a little bit different, but every case is different.
Correct.
And we also want to invite you guys, if you know of any riders, that will be on 8/11/18, 8/11/18. They'll be here at Dayton Associates. I know Attorney John Zaid might be here as well. We won't be on bikes, but we're going to be here in support, right?
Yeah, we will.
And talking to all the riders. So it's such a good time. And That community is such a great community, but there's such a close, like, tight community.
It is.
Yeah. So, and they know a lot of people too.
It's a brotherhood.
Yeah, it's a brotherhood that travel from all over, and those real traditional riders will travel all the way to New York.
Yeah. On their bikes.
On their bikes, yes. I don't know if I could pack all my luggage and my clothing in that little bike, but we could figure it out. I'm sure there's enough stuff in there. So yeah, that's something that I did this weekend. Great event. So you'll see more events with the motorcycle community. You'll see it on our page as well. So make sure you follow. And I know Attorney John Zaid also has a lot of motorcycle cases.
We do.
Yeah.
We have our fair share on our docket as well.
Yeah, definitely.
We actually have some that we're working on together.
Oh, okay, perfect. So that's awesome to hear that you guys are in good hands, whether it's a vehicle accident, motorcycle accident, even slip and fall, dog bite, wherever there's a need, these attorneys are here to help. And speaking of that, last time I asked you, I'm going to put you on the spot right now. So last time I asked you how you've impacted someone's life. You gave me a great story, heartfelt story, that you still follow that client and kind of keep in contact with that client, which is such a beautiful thing, because that means you're very invested in the story. But if you had to pick, and this is going to be hard, and I'm sorry I'm going to put you out there, but a favorite case. You're going to probably say they're all my favorite cases because we're so emotionally invested. But yeah, if you had to put or pinpoint another case that was very dear to your heart, whether it was motorcycle, car accident, or even a slip and fall, there's just so many cases in 16 years that you have experience with. So what would you say?
You put me on the spot.
I did. Last time, well, you could even talk a little bit about the story that you said last time for those viewers that are new.
Yeah, well, I'll talk about my favorite case. It's hard to pick one client in one case, but the type of cases that we see the most impact are unfortunately the ones that are severely injured. We've represented, in echoing the whole motorcycle theme today, we represented a young lady who was driving a motorcycle for the very first time. She was on I don't think it was a blind date, but it was on a first date. She rode on the back of this motorcycle with this guy she met for the first time. I don't know how she met, but they went on a date. She's riding on the back of the bike. The ironic thing was that it wasn't somebody else's fault. It was the motorcycle rider's fault. The driver of the motorcycle was the one at fault. Clipped the 18-wheeler in front of him. Initially, we thought, okay, it must be the 18-wheeler who was at fault. We did a thorough investigation. We even hired an accident reconstructionist and discovered that, look, there's no way, shape, or form that we're going to get the 18-wheeler to, accept liability on this one. So unfortunately, we did have to go against the driver of that bike. The poor lady had her leg amputated from the knee down. Needless to say, I think that was her last date with that gentleman. It sticks out because the motorcycle accidents and those type of cases usually, unfortunately, lead to some really, really severe injuries. And quite frankly, even the fact that she was amputated from the knee down, it's not the worst of it. I mean, you see the death cases, you see this traumatic brain injury, you see the people that are paralyzed, permanently disabled, et cetera. So, it's important that if you are riding a motorcycle that you follow the proper protocol. Don't be out there on your riding a motorcycle with your jeans and your Jordans, and you have to wear the proper gear. You have to wear a helmet. It's very important because safety is important, especially with motorcycles. One mistake by the driver of that motorcycle or a 16-year-old who's driving the car for the first time can lead to some really tragic injuries or death.
Yeah, and I think you said it right there. Safety is number one.
Yeah,
helmet, I would say, is a number one because I've been to a lot of these events and I see them without a helmet.
Yeah, a lot of them don't like to because it's manly.
Yeah, we want to look cool, but I think your safety is important. And I know this accident you're kind of talking about, and I'm going to go in just because this is something I have really dear to my heart, but you're saying this one was the fault of the motorcycle rider. Sometimes it's the opposite way. And they're different scenarios. And just like you said, some of them, the cases are really severe. But I've spoken to a lot of riders, and that's what close to their heart is that bike.
Yeah.
And some of them have been in numerous accidents, and they'll get back in the bike, and some will not.
Yeah.
But it is a close community, and we do treat those riders just like our car accident ones as well.
For sure.
But yeah, definitely safety first. And you have, even the rider has to be even extra safe, because now you're not just watching out for yourself, but the other
Everybody
person.
else,
Yeah, because it's you and the road.
It's an ironic that you said it, because it seems like it's a culture within the riders that I've represented some that they were the actual driver, and it was a really severe injury. And I asked them, is this enough for you to stop riding? And every single one of them says, no way, I'll never stop riding, no matter what it takes. So I feel like it's a cultural thing. These guys love what they do. And no matter how severe the injury or what the risk is involved, this is just part of something they accept and they live with and hope the best.
Yeah, and definitely I want you guys to stay tuned to any future shows, because leading up into our ride, we'll be having some motorcycle chapters. Either the president's here, they can speak a little bit more on their experience or what they've seen as far as within their club, any accidents and stuff. So they'll be impactful stories. So stay tuned. And even if you guys are a rider, or even just like the bikes, I'm not a rider, just because that story you just said, that's what my fear is. Everyone's like, have you ever rode on the bike? You want to go for the first ride? I'm like, no, just because you never know. The red light, someone runs a red light, there you go. I also heard that accident and from one of our riders.
My brother likes to ride. And we grew up riding, but locally down the street in the neighborhood. And as we got older, he always wanted to buy one. And I said, Mike, it's not a smart idea. I've represented a lot of people. I've showed him photos. He said, it doesn't matter. I know how to ride. I said, it's not you that I worry about. It's worried about other people on the road that could potentially lead to, what this lady's dealing with right now.
Yeah.
So to me, it's not worth the risk. But, I respect and appreciate the bike riders out there. And, hopefully they're safe out there and they're following the guidelines, and people around them are keeping a lookout for them. And unfortunately, it's going to happen. Hopefully it's not you, but if it does, it's something that we definitely have experience dealing with.
Yeah, so look twice for a bike. I will say that always, if you are the driver, look twice, because they can hit that blind spot and you don't see them. So let's all look out for each other, especially here in Houston. There's so many people. The accident rate is so high. But let's help each other just for safety. But if not, we are here to help in any which way that we can, for sure. I know we joint ventured, and just a little small introduction with attorney John Zaid. So John K Zaid Associates and D. Miller Associates have joint ventured. So today we're here to give you a dynamic duo show, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you've known attorney Darren Miller and attorney Ramesh Raghuthaman for over 8 years now.
Over 8 years.
Yeah.
We've been working together for over 8 years now.
Yeah, so that is awesome. There's obviously a good relationship there.
Sure.
And you guys mesh very well. Personalities go really well. So when you have a solid team behind your case telling your story, it's an even stronger fight.
It really is. And the advantage of, involving a firm like Darren Miller's or myself is that sometimes certain cases we end up doing it together.
Yeah.
So what I always tell people that are in that position, you're literally getting two for the price of one. So you're getting Darren Miller and Associates as well as John K Zaid Associates representing you for the same fee. So you don't get charged anything extra. There's no additional fees. There's no additional cost. Whatever the split between my firm and his firm does not affect our clients in any way. And you're getting the experience of who knows how many years, 40, 50 years combined. With my associate too, Joe Zaid. A lot of years of experience, a lot of litigation experience, a lot of trial experience, and you get that all for the price of one. I think.
Yeah, that's great, honestly. And there's two different angles, or three or four on the attorney mindset. I think that's so powerful. Yeah. And then all these angles with the attorneys, like you're protecting our client. That one in the middle, it's kind of like bodyguards around you, protecting your story. So I think that's super impactful. Like he said, two for the price of one. Yeah. And in each firm, there is a handful of attorneys as well and associates.
Correct.
So you're just not getting just one and one. You're getting a family.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So yes, I want to welcome you guys to any questions that you guys may have for Attorney John Zaid in behalf of D. Miller and Associates or John K Zaid Associates. He's holding down the fort today. Yes, sir. So James is now asking a question. I think James has to be a rider for sure. James is saying, I did not carry my insurance on my motorcycle. Can I still sue the driver who hit me?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, James, good question. You should have insurance. The law says you should have insurance. I highly recommend you do carry insurance. But in this scenario, if you are not at fault for this accident, we can represent you, even though you were uninsured. We can go after the at-fault party. go after their insurance company and make a recovery for you. So the short and long answer is yes, we can do that for you.
And will this, now I'm just kind of being devil's advocate, would this probably constitute maybe a ticket if he doesn't have the insurance at the time of the accident, maybe left it at home, whatever the case may be? Could that be something?
Correct. So the way he worded the question, I wondered if he just didn't have it with him at the time of the accident, or he was just outright uninsured. I assumed he was uninsured, but either way, he probably received a citation. If he did have an insurance policy, or if you do have an insurance policy, James, you can present that insurance policy to the court and they'll dismiss your case more likely than not. If you're outright uninsured, either way, if you were hit by someone else and it was not your fault, we can definitely help you on that.
Yeah, so if you want to follow up, James, and kind of let us know a little bit more detail on that. But long story short, the answer is yes, we can help.
Yeah. You don't have to be insured to recover for a claim. That even goes for a motor vehicle. I mean, that goes for any kind of accident. We have scenarios where people are uninsured and they call us and say, well, I don't have insurance. Is that going to affect my claim? I say, well, you at fault. And they say, no, I was hit from behind. And the fact is, you should be insured. The law says you should be insured. But the fact of the matter is, as long as that person that was at fault was insured, that's all we need.
Yeah. And other questions, and I know you could probably add a little bit more, other questions that we're seeing pertaining to that I did not have or I do not have is insurance. Another one might be driver's license or social security number. Any of those things, though, we could still help.
It's the same answer. So you don't have to have a license. You don't have to have insurance. You don't have to have a social security number in order to recover for a personal injury claim in the state of Texas. Yeah, so you're covered.
So there you go.
And a lot of people are reluctant to call. Like, hey, I don't have a social. I don't have a license. Maybe I wasn't supposed to be on the road, so how am I going to be compensated even though I wasn't supposed to be, or I wasn't legally on the road, or I wasn't legally driving? And the answer is you have a right to be compensated for that.
Yeah, and I know if you guys are a little afraid or intimidated by that situation, we have a huge confidentiality rule here. So please give us a call. The attorneys will advise you on your situation the best that we can to fit your needs as well. So that phone number, again, 713-850-8600. But if you have a question, don't feel afraid. We're here to help.
For sure.
We're definitely here. And we're so close. I mean, we're in Houston, but we do the whole state of Texas, which we do have a border of Mexico. So some people do also travel in and out. It is common that we see more on the southern part of Texas.
Right.
But we do definitely help a lot of those type of clients, right?
We do. I'm representing somebody right now who's from Australia, lives in Australia. Was here down for, I don't know how long he was here for, got into a severe accident, went to the ER, was eventually discharged, and went back to Australia. And we're in the midst of, finalizing his case. As a matter of fact, he gave me wiring instructions, and I had to go to the bank to confirm, hey, is this enough to wire this money? But the point I'm making is, he's from Australia, happened to be visiting here. Once again, not at fault, no social security, no passport, no driver's license, no insurance. He wasn't the driver, ironically. He was the passenger, but still, if you're in an accident, irrespective of your status or situation, if you are not at fault, you have a right to be compensated.
That brings up a good point because, people like to travel. People like to do vacation. They come from all over. It doesn't have to be United States. Look at the situation. No wonder you don't sleep, huh? Because you have worldwide cases. But that's crazy. That's even a different time zone, completely different, and just the attorneys are there to be available for you guys, whether you're in the state or different location, and will be available for you in your situation.
We've chatted or corresponded via email, but at one time, to clear the air on certain matters, we ended up coordinating a call through Facebook. And he said, well, my time is this, and I was up at whatever time it was, 9, 10 o'clock at night, so that it was an adequate time for him, and we were able to communicate. So we'll do stuff like that.
That's awesome.
Sure.
That's awesome. So that should make you feel good that we are available pretty much 24/7.
Yeah.
But yeah, whenever you guys need even different time zones, we're definitely here to help and be available. So thank you, James, for that question. Again, it was kind of loaded. We went all over the place. Yeah. So thank you, James, for that question. Will has a question coming up. Okay, now my gentlemen are coming out. I see you guys. Will is saying, I know someone who was in an accident a year ago. Is that something you can help with, or is it too late? This is a great question. Okay.
Was it Will?
Will. Yeah. I know someone who was in an accident a year ago. Is this something you can help with, or is it too late? Attorney John Zaid.
It's not too late, Will. The statute of limitations in the state of Texas for any injury claim is 2 years. So you do have another year before the statute expires. So what ultimately needs to happen within the next year is that you either A, resolve your case, or you file a lawsuit to preserve your claim. The best bet is to call us to see what the status of that claim is. In other words, some of the questions that we're going to want to know is what's happened in the past year. Did you hire another lawyer and was released? Did you seek medical treatment? Were you injured? Was a claim made? There's a variety of questions that come with that.
Yeah.
That questions that we would want to ask
important.
that are very important and relevant to whether we can actually handle the case or not. But the statute is 2 years, so you're in the clear there. I mean, we've signed cases. As a matter of fact, this happened recently where somebody called us like on the eve of statute. It was less than a month out, and they attempted to handle the matter on their own. And unfortunately, in this situation, the insurance company didn't fulfill the promises they had given to this client, this potential client. And ultimately, right at the eve of statute, they called us up and said, hey, here's, they answered all of our questions. And we felt like it fit our profile. So we literally took the case on, filed the lawsuit within the first or second day that they retained us, and were able to get a policy limits offer for this client. So it's not what I would recommend. I would not wait. We've had another scenario just like that where there wasn't much going on. There was minor treatment. The insurance company was not compensating them, and we had to pass on that case. So we never recommend that you hold on to it that long because you may be stuck without any kind of recovery. So we've gone both ways. It's really fact specific. So the best bet is to call the lawyer sooner rather than later.
Don't make us the bad guys. You have to say no.
Yeah,
but
that's what happened.
Yeah, the quicker the better.
Too.
Yeah.
I felt really bad, but it was an unfortunate situation that we could not help out with.
Yeah, so in the state of Texas, you just said 2 years.
Correct.
However, we do take cases nationwide. Every state is different.
Correct.
I will say that every state is different. But you guys do that proper research, different attorneys in different states to help you find out what those statute of limitations, which is basically the time period they have from the date of the accident to basically when it expires.
That's a good way to put it.
A good way to remember terms.
And for example, Louisiana is 1 year, our neighboring state. So we've handled cases out of Louisiana. And if Will had an accident in Louisiana, unfortunately, that case would have, like you said, expired by now.
1 year. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's different things to take in consideration. But yes, the sooner the better. After you're able to contact, right? After, like if you go to the hospital or whatever, the sooner the better.
Call right away, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Will. Now I have a question from Mike. This is a good question. Thank you, Mike. Mike is saying, what is the difference between insured and underinsured?
Okay, good question.
This is a good question. You probably could say this like super quickly, but there's a lot of us that look at our insurance policy and we don't know. Sure. I learned through the show Talk to Me Tuesday, but go ahead and explain to Mike what the difference is between insured and uninsured.
Okay, so simply put, Mike, when you say someone is insured, literally means they have insurance coverage. When you say someone is uninsured, it once again literally means they have no insurance. Now, the different type of coverages that are out there in the state of Texas is what we call liability coverage. When I carry liability coverage, that's coverage that's protecting anybody else. If I'm at fault, my liability coverage, whether it's the state minimum, which is $30,000, that's to protect the person that I was at fault and I hit someone. There's also additional coverage, what we call first-party coverage. It's uninsured coverage and underinsured coverage. And what that ultimately means is if you're involved in an accident, and you're injured and it's not your fault, but the person that was at fault was uninsured, then you can pursue your own policy for that, what we call the uninsured portion of your claim.
Ah, okay.
Correct. Yeah.
So you can go, let me just explain this a little bit simple because of how my mind works. So if I get hit, I can go after that person's insurance or mine if they're not insured.
Or if they're underinsured. So you have a scenario exactly like what you just said.
Oh.
But let's just say the value of your case is, let's just use a round number of $50,000. Well, the Texas state required minimum is $30,000. So the person that hit you has a state required minimum. They're not in violation of the law. Insurance company evaluates your claim and determines that, hey, this thing is worth at least $30,000. They're going to pay you the policy limits. So in that scenario, as your attorneys, we would go to your insurance company and say, look, we believe that this individual, what we call the defendant, was underinsured. So he had insurance, but he didn't have enough. And we would like to pursue what we call the underinsured claim against your own policy.
Got it.
So let's just say in theory, if we believe it was worth the $50,000, then when we'd send the demand, we'd ask for that additional $20,000 from your own policy.
Wow. So that there's like, in this scenario, they were capped.
Correct.
Right?
Exactly.
And so the cap, because the value or the whatever expenses might have exceeded that cap, then you go under yours.
Correct.
Okay. That makes sense. That is a kind of a loaded question. I hope you guys took notes because it's a lot. It comes easy for you guys, but for us, sometimes we don't know the insurance policy.
On a side note, real quick, a lot of people that we represent, unfortunately, don't have what we call first-party coverage. A lot of people are driving around with liability-only insurance. Unfortunately, when we speak to those people and explain to them the process, they tell us many times that my insurance adjuster did not explain that to me. And what I explain to my clients is this: the insurance coverage that you have on your vehicle, the liability only is what we call it, that liability is not protecting you. It's not protecting anyone in your vehicle. It's protecting everybody else in the public. So if you hit that person, you have that coverage. And that's all the state requires. But it's really, really, first of all, it's not that expensive, and it's really important that everybody look at their policy, see what type of coverages you have, inquire. See if you have the underinsured, uninsured policy. See if you have what we call PIP, personal injury protection. These are two huge coverages that I believe every single person should have. We have way too many people that come to us that are in a situation where the other individual was uninsured or underinsured, and we have to give them some really bad news about, hey, we can't take this case because there's no insurance coverage, or that you're not being compensated fairly because there's not enough coverage out there. I really feel like it's a duty of an insurance agent to explain that, but I think sometimes people are in a situation where maybe it's a budget issue or whatever it is. But every client that we have, we try to educate them on that process and make sure they go out there and get the proper coverage. Because the way I explain it is, you're protecting everybody but the most important people in your life, the people in your vehicle. So you got yourself, your wife, your kids in the vehicle, your spouse in the vehicle, and they're not covered. You're only covering everybody else.
Yeah.
So that's important. That's huge. And we see that all too often. That's why I mentioned that. We see way too many people that don't have insurance or don't have the first party coverage.
Right. And this is all very valuable information. Last time you mentioned the declaration page of your insurance gives you all that detail.
Right.
So please just make that request from your insurance company. Like he said, he gave you homework. Make sure you check. So go ask for that declaration page just to make sure. And if not, you can make a quick phone call. If you need to know a little bit more guidance, you can always reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help.
You can see the difference in the quote. You'll see that it's not that significant of a difference between the two coverages. So the ironic thing is everybody thinks, well, it's not going to be me. I don't expect to get into that accident. A lot of people that we represent, nobody expects to get into an accident, but these things happen. So it's best to be prepared. That's my advice. Being prepared, being safer than sorry. So thank you, Mike, for that question. I want to take a moment and thank all of you guys right now that are watching. We're getting a lot of views, a lot of shares, and a lot of likes. So hugs and kisses. I want to thank all of you guys for sharing. The more you share, the better, because you get to spread the education. For sure. And that way more people that might have these questions can watch it at a later time. And they would be able to ask questions at any time. If it's not during the live show, it's okay. Load up the questions. We will get someone, Attorney John Zaid will definitely follow up with those questions. So I want to take a moment real quick. I know Romy Zaid and Farzana Kajani said thumbs up. So thank you so much. Janie Treviso put heart eyes. Damian Garza and Chrissy Anderson, sorry if I said your name wrong, thumbs up. Christy Schultz and Yeneth Garza waved at you, and then also Devani Garza. And I'm saying you because it's not me. It's all about you. It's all about Attorney John Zaid. So I want to take a moment and thank you guys so much. We love those comments. I welcome comments as well. Any comments that you guys might want to know, and let us know what you're doing this weekend for Father's Day. It's going to be a very important weekend. We want to also honor our fathers out there, which we just finished honoring our mothers in May. So thank you so, so much. So now I'm going to go ahead and go into Damien's question. Damien's asking, after an accident, am I supposed to call the insurance adjusters, or what do I do? Ooh, another good question. I'm going to let you handle this one all the way, huh? That's a loaded question.
That is. Yeah.
Damien, our advice is never to call the insurance adjuster right away. Our advice is obviously to call a lawyer. If not our office, call a competent lawyer that can help you. Pardon me. Calling the insurance adjuster sometimes does affect the claim that you have. Unfortunately, insurance adjusters take advantage of people that do not have lawyers. We've had scenarios where people have called us and said, I called the insurance adjuster. I gave him a recorded statement. I gave him the version of what happened. I told him, for example, I was not injured, and now I'm feeling pain. What do I do now? So that's part of the reason why we don't recommend that you call the insurance adjuster first. We always recommend that you call the lawyer for that reason. We get people that call the adjuster. We've seen scenarios where insurance adjusters will take it to the next level of saying, hey, here's a check for $500. Go ahead and cash it. This is for you. This is for your settlement. And I don't think they explain the ramifications of that check. And we have people calling us after the fact and say, hey, well, we got a check for $500, but I didn't sign any paperwork, so I didn't settle with them. And unfortunately, you've lost your claim. Once you accept money from the insurance company, once you give them a statement, you cannot undo what's been done. So the answer to that is don't call the insurance company, call an attorney, seek some advice. And then if you decide to do it on your own, at least you've been educated by an attorney, you understand what the process is. But we prefer that you call us, of course.
Wow, that's great advice, because sometimes we want to just try to get everything, just our car fixed and everything. So giving us a call first, or an attorney, would definitely educate you a little bit more. And it's crazy. I'm hearing that they give you the monetary or the check, and that's just a form of accepting. So just be very, very careful. Some people, I know it's a headache. It's a headache dealing with a car accident, right? I know I've been in one, and just dealing with that, you just want the quickest, fastest, get back to my car and get to work type deal. But it's always good to do some research.
Yes, and I would say at the beginning of at the beginning or the onset of the case is usually when it's the most chaotic. A, you don't have a vehicle. B, you're trying to figure out, how do I get my rental car? My car got towed. I went to the hospital. I can't get the accident report. I need to find a lawyer. So there's a lot of things going on all at once, involving, sometimes there's emotional involvement as well. And you've been devastated with a severe injury. You don't have a rental car. You're trying to get your kids to and from school. You're trying to get to and from work. So we understand it's tough. We can help you with that process. Call us up. We can assist with that process. We've even sent people via Uber if necessary. Each case is different. Each situation is unique, but we do recommend that you call and allow us to help you kind of get through all that process.
So if it makes you guys feel any better, I mean, that's experience that we have day in and day out for, in his case, the last 16 years. In our case as well, 16 years. We're going on the 16th year of being in business. So what better advice to get than, hey, I just got in an accident. Can you please advise me, like the rental, the property damage, all of that good stuff? These guys do it all the time.
Yeah, and you could hang up the phone and not hire us. It's fine, but at least seek that advice. See what we think, what we have to say. See if it makes sense. See if it adds up, and then make your own informed decision as to what you want to do. Even if you want to handle it. We've had people that come in and get advice, and we know they're going to handle it on their own, and we have no issue with that. At least seek the advice, see what we have to say, and make your own informed decision.
And the good news, if you do come to us, it's not like you have to lose anything. You don't pay anything. I know we went over this last time. If you want to go over that, which is contingency based,
Correct. So we are a contingency-based firm, which means that we don't get anything up front. We only make a percentage of what we're able to recover for you. So if you come in for a consultation, it's free. If we don't make a recovery, you don't owe us any money. So there's really no risk involved. We don't use high-pressure sales tactics. We're not calling you 24/7, forcing you to sign a contract. If you feel comfortable, you sign. If you don't, my experience, what I've learned over the years is that if somebody's comfortable with you, they're more likely to sign a contract. If you make someone uncomfortable from the get-go with the high-pressure sales tactics and the over-pursuit, I think it ends up backfiring. And ultimately, if somebody's not ready to sign, it's probably a good idea that they don't sign with your office. When they sign with your office, it becomes a partnership. Because what you're going to ultimately end up doing is representing this person, guiding them through many processes, the rental car, the medical treatment, dealing with all the issues that come with the case. So some of these cases take upwards of 2 years to resolve. So think about it. It's a 2-year partnership with this new client. If you're not on the same page from day one, it's probably not going to work out in the long run. So it's best that you allow that client to make an informed decision when they feel comfortable and they decide to hire your office or our office, whoever it is that they hire. Like I said, it's going to be a partnership, and the only way that anybody's going to get any kind of recovery is that this partnership needs to go all the way to the end and seek that recovery, whether it's in a settlement or in trial. So it's important from the get-go that, A, we go through and sift through the cases and decide whether we think we want to represent or not. And when we make that decision, then the client has to make a decision as to whether they feel comfortable with our representation. And once those two answers are yes, then, that's how we begin the process.
And I know you said something very important that I'm going to just kind of elaborate, because I'm super big on customer service.
Yeah,
I don't know if you are.
It's huge, of course.
Huge.
It's huge.
And when someone's super aggressive, and I don't know about you guys, I'm just like,
I get turned off.
Go the other way.
I get turned off.
Yeah, so I agree with you on those approach, and it is a relationship. It's not a sales, because it's someone's life and their story.
Correct.
And we really take that really serious.
We do.
Yeah.
We really do.
So I have got to agree with you guys, with you and your comment on that. So we're here to help. We're here to educate and opening up those lines of communication. So yes, I want to thank Damien for that question. I have probably time for 2 more. So make sure you go ahead, hurry up, load up your question. I have one right now that just came up. This is Jesse. So Jesse, I injured my back when I fell down slippery steps. Can you help? And this is kind of, we might need some more information.
Correct.
Where did it happen? Stuff like that. You can elaborate. But Jesse, I injured my back when I fell down slippery steps. Can you help?
Yeah. So the short answer is it's probably yes, Jesse. There's a lot of information that we need to gather. It sounds like it sounds like your traditional slip and fall case. Slip and fall cases occur everywhere, whether they have to be in the public somewhere. You could be at your local Walmart. You could be at the apartment complex. It could happen anywhere. The fact is that there are certain elements that we must find in your liability facts to be able to, ascertain whether we can make a recovery for you. That's part of what we do when you call us up, is we do a thorough investigation and we ask a series of questions as to, what happened, where did it happen, how did it happen, was there a dangerous condition that led to the accident? In this scenario, slippery steps sounds like maybe the dangerous condition. That's what the law says, that there needs to be a dangerous condition. Where was it at? Was it in your own home, or was it at the apartment complex, or was it at, the local, public restaurant, or whatever the case may be? So there's definitely some questions we need to have answered before we can make a final decision. But it sounds like a slip and fall case. If there's an injury, it's something we're definitely interested in hearing.
Yes.
Or at least speaking to you about.
Yes, thank you, Jesse, for that. I know I am a girl that wears heels. So for all my ladies out there that wears heels, I walked into restaurants, and I don't know the slippery of and I don't know, you wear dress shoes as well. You probably know exactly what I'm talking about. Something about certain restaurants, I feel like I'm gliding, if not skating, and there's no signs. I didn't fall, thank goodness. That would be very embarrassing. But I mean, those conditions do happen. Yeah. And man, I've experienced that more times than one time. So
the slip and fall cases are a little bit more complicated than the regular everyday car accident case because of the law and the way it's laid out. I mean, the law is set to protect the premises owner. So you can't just walk into a random slip and fall and all of a sudden, oh, we're going to sue these guys. So it is a little bit more complicated. It's very fact specific as to whether that we believe a case would be viable or not. We've handled tons of them over the years against a lot of grocery stores, restaurants. The bottom line is, if you slip and fall and you're injured, the best bet is to call a lawyer. What we typically do, even if it's a case that we can't take on, we explain. I'm a big fan of explaining the law to this client that's calling, or this potential client that's calling, explaining what the law is in the state of Texas. This is the elements that we must meet. And then we discuss very specifically the facts that you're calling me about, and we'll be able to kind of hash through it together. Usually I can do it pretty quickly, but I like to explain it to that person. So even if the answer is a no, you understand why it's a no. And I always recommend get a second opinion, try a different lawyer. You never know. He may have a different opinion on it.
So I know we've talked before, even last show, the steps to take when in an accident. But now I'm going to ask you the steps to take when in a slip and fall. It's different. You don't get a police report. You
Correct.
Get a report of the premise, I don't know, manager. What are the steps?
Yeah, so the first question that I ask when somebody calls about a slip and fall is, did you report it? Did you notify the premises owner of the incident? So we'll just pick on Walmart. You slipped and fell at Walmart. Did you notify anybody at Walmart? Was a report made from Walmart? Did anybody from Walmart contact you regarding the claim? Were you injured? Did you seek medical treatment? Did you go to the hospital? These are all key things that we want to know. We have people call and say, I slipped and fell at Walmart. It was a week ago. I haven't gone and sought any medical treatment, but my back is hurting, and I never notified Walmart. So that's going to be a very difficult case. I can tell you that right now, simply because they don't have any notice of the claim. For us to call a week later and say, hey, pull up your cameras. A week ago, somebody slipped on aisle 5, and we don't know what they slipped on. I can tell you right now that's going to be a very difficult liability fact to make. So Do the right thing. If you slip and you fall, find out what it is that caused the slip. Was it something on the floor? Did management approach you afterwards? Did they make a report? Did they explain to you what was going on? For example, did you slip by the coolers and the manager came up and said, our coolers have been leaking or our roof has been leaking and we meant to put a sign out? That means they had notice of the dangerous condition and they didn't rectify that problem. So that's huge for us. We want to hear those type of facts. So that's the type of questions we'll be asking. And those are the type of things that you need to kind of ascertain when these incidents occur.
And I know it is embarrassing. And I know I've heard also, especially a friend and a family member that slipped and they just wanted to get out of there.
Yeah.
Forget notifying anybody. They're like, I was just embarrassed. Yeah. Would that potentially hurt their probabilities?
Yeah, I wouldn't say the case is dead in the water, but it definitely hurts the probability of making it a good, clean recovery.
So my suggestion is don't worry about being embarrassed. Worry about your safety first, right? And make those steps that he advised, because I think that's important. I don't even, if I were to slip like in the restaurant with my heels, I don't know what to do next. I'm just like worried about not falling and not being embarrassed. Those are my top two things. So
a reputable establishment that's open to the public will have a protocol in place. They'll have a protocol where management comes in, they write up a report, they get details. That's the right way to do things. If you're at a place that doesn't do that, that should be your first red flag, that you need to get as much details as you can. Who was there? Who was the employee? For example, it's a restaurant. What's the name of the waitress? What's the name of the manager that you spoke to? Who do you contact to discuss the potential claim? That's all relevant and important information that you need to gather from the scene.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's great information. So thank you so much, Jesse, for that question. We're getting close to the end. Wow, we had great questions today. And I know we were just kind of like going crazy. But the more information, the better, I think. And I know helps me too. So, so I want to thank you guys all for tuning in to Talk to Me Tuesday. I'm going to turn it over to Attorney John Zaid. What do you want to leave our viewers with? Any last, a quote, a suggestion, steps to take? What do you want to leave our viewers with that are watching right now on if they were in an accident, what they could do? What
I'd recommend is anybody watching this video, take a look at our websites. We have both of our sites listed on the page, on the Facebook page. Take a look, educate yourself. There's a lot of good information out there. So the fact of the matter is a lot of people are watching this and may not need or have a need for a personal injury attorney here today. So it's a good idea to program the number in, read on the website. There's a lot of good info, frequently asked questions, et cetera, et cetera. So that
articles.
Correct. Articles, blogs, all kinds of stuff, videos that connect through YouTube. So there's a lot of good info that may be relevant one day. If it's not for you, maybe a friend or a loved one. Get that information, educate yourself, and be prepared. Unfortunately, these situations occur. They occur all too often. And when it does occur, you need to make the right moves and hire the right people. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, man, that's great closing. Yeah. So what we're going to do is go ahead and load at the bottom John K Zaid Associates, their Facebook page, as well as their website, as well as D. Miller & Associates website, which is dmillerlaw.com. You guys can get a lot of information. Our websites are loaded with a lot of information. Correct. Not only is the individual here, but we also provide you guys with educational forums on the website as well. Articles, blogs, frequent asked questions, that can help as well. So sharing that as much as you can. We'll load it below, so no worries. You'll also see the phone number and the address if you guys want to reach out or in the need, you guys need somebody, we are here. For sure. So that was a great closing statement. I want to thank all of you guys for viewing the show as well as liking it and sharing it. Make sure you keep spreading the word because you never know how many lives we could affect and help. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Talk to Me Tuesday on a Tuesday with your host, Mari B. Till next time.
Thank you.